So, hi, my name is Ralph Buck. One would think that growing up in West Hollywood and being gay, it would be easy to come out. But for some reason, for me, it wasn't. I didn't come out till much later in life. I knew that I was gay probably in elementary school, never acted on it. My mother, for a period of time, was an interior decorator, and there were a lot of shops, like fabric shops and furniture stores and stuff in West Hollywood on La Cienega. So I was well aware of the gay lifestyle at that time, but she would tell me stories about how unhappy these guys were. And so that kind of pushed it deeper inside of me. I didn't want to be unhappy, and I didn't want to disappoint my parents. I just stayed closeted. I didn't have my first sexual experience till I was 18. I moved in an apartment with some friends, also in West Hollywood. And a guy in a neighboring apartment I thought was attractive, and he liked me. And so he slipped into my bed one night, and that was my first experience. It was kind of unsettling for me. I immediately fell in love with this guy. He was an older guy. When I say older, I mean probably 25. I was 18, so he broke up with me in a not very pleasant way. And I went into a spiral after that, and my parents sent me to a psychiatrist. I never admitted to him that I was gay, and I don't know what he reported back to my parents. I was lacking self-confidence, and so I never really pursued anything because I thought it was not worthy of whatever it was. Well, I kept wishing I was straight, but I knew that I wasn't. And so I started going to some of the local bars and meeting guys and hooking up. So I was sexually active. And I went through a series of boyfriends. I guess it was kind of a stereotypical man to man to man that you think of in the gay world. I went to work for United Artists, and I couldn't be out at my job. In 1968, I left my job and just started hitchhiking my way around the world. It was easier in those days, no security checks or anything like that. And I wound up in Australia for 12 years, and I became captain of a research boat, very macho group of workers, so I was not out of the closet there. I had some sexual experiences just from bars, and then I did have a relationship with a guy for a couple of years, but it turned out he was married with kids, so that didn't go anywhere. Didn't have very good luck in my early years. I came back here in 1982, and I got my scuba diving instructor certification. I've been teaching ever since, and even to this day, I'm still teaching diving. So I had to get a new telephone. At that time, they were all landlines. And so I went to the phone company, and the guy who took my order was clearly gay. And so I got the phone installed, and then it rang the next day, and he said, "I'm just calling to check. Can I come over and have a look at the phone?" And he did. We slept together a few times, and then we just became really good friends. So he was one of the few out gay friends I had. I would go to bars in West Hollywood and connect with somebody, but I was still leading a very straight life. In my professional life, I ran a dive shop. And then in 1988, two guys came to the dive shop to get certified, and they signed up for my class. And they were gay, they were obviously gay. And then one day, Bill Richardson, who was one of these guys, pointed out a personal ad in Frontiers, which was the gay paper in those days. The 3 certified divers were looking to form a gay and lesbian dive club. They were having a gathering at the center down in Long Beach, and they didn't really know how to proceed. So I volunteered to be guest speaker, and I gave my spiel. And afterwards, there were these 3 divers, Jim Gant, Bill Geiger, and Rafael Montijo. Well, Rafael is gone now, but Bill and Jim and I are still friends. And that's the day that the Barnacle Busters was formed. And so I think January, February of 1989, we had our first all gay and lesbian scuba class. I think there were 22 students in that class. So interest was very strong. And we incorporated shortly thereafter as a gay and lesbian club. And we're still diving today. Now, I will say, in the early days of the club, there were many of the local dive boats who either canceled our previous reservations or wouldn't take reservations. There were some tropical resorts which wouldn't take our reservations, or they did, and then there was unpleasantness when we got there. At that time, it was a very macho sport, and so I think the gay and lesbian community felt much more comfortable going on a boat charter where all the divers were gay or lesbian. Now, because most people are so much more accepting of gay and lesbian lifestyle, we don't feel that urge that need to cluster together for security and comfort. You know what I mean? We used to have a charter boat charter every month in the old days. Now we do a couple times a year. So going back to 1989, I all of a sudden found myself with all of these gay people, and it was so liberating for me. It was relaxing, and I kept thinking to myself, if only I could be this relaxed amongst my other friends and family. And so that gave me the courage to come out. And it was such a relief. It was like my heart opened. I could be honest with everybody. I didn't have to make up girlfriends. I didn't have to make up any of this stuff. I could just be me. And I started dating openly. I was one of the lucky ones. My family and my friends all were very supportive and welcomed this news. That was when my life really opened up and became rewarding for me. And that's my coming out story. And I'm still friends with Bill Richardson and his husband, Roy. And many of the friends I had prior to the coming out are still friends now, close friends, non-gay people. But yeah, that's my coming out story, and it feels good to say it. After I came out to family and friends, life continued on pretty much as it had before. I was still teaching classes, but I was single for many years. So I kind of would go for older guys, like in their 30s and 40s. And then as I reached my 30s and 40s, I continued to date that same age group. So they were my peers now. And then as I got older, I still continued to date that same age group. So now I was the elder. And then by the time I met Chris, I was dating mostly, not even dating, hooking up with 40s, 50s, so younger than I was. And then when the internet became a way of contacting people, I had some dates and had some hookups, and I was just living a very happy bachelor life. And then one day I met a guy on a website, and we met for lunch, and we hit it off, and we went home and we had sex, and then we didn't see each other for a year. We were both aware of the age difference. I am 17 years older than he. And so we kind of kept very loose contact. He was doing like music reviews for the paper, The Frontiers, that I mentioned before. So I would see him in the paper and would drop him an email every now and then. And then a year later, maybe a year and a half, a mutual friend brought us together again at a dive club meeting. And we hit it off, and we decided to have a date. And that went really well. We went to dinner and a movie. And then we had another date and another and another. And we've been together for 15 years, and we've been married. We're going on our 10th year of being married. So I went from being a happy bachelor to an even happier spouse. In the 80s, I did lose a lot of friends to AIDS, but I was always very careful. I always used a condom, and maybe I was promiscuous, but I was responsibly promiscuous. And, one of the founders of the dive club, Raphael Montijo, died from that. I once said to my mother, I wish that I had come out 10 years ago. And she said, well, it wasn't your time. Timing is everything. And, if it hadn't been for the dive club, maybe I would still be in the closet today. Who knows? So many of my friends came out when they were in high school and college. And I thought to myself, I wish that I had done that. But who knows? On the other hand, maybe I would have contracted AIDS or an STD. Who knows what that would have meant, It is what it is, and I didn't. And I get up every morning and I realize how lucky I am, how fortunate I am. A lot of people confront their fears. They're afraid of what's under the water. but it's a beautiful place down there. Give it a try. You know, there's an old song from a musical called Open a New Window, Open a New Door, travel a new highway that's never been tried before. So I say, if you're interested, if you can swim and you're interested in scuba diving, come see me because I'm the teacher.